3rd of March 2012, and there's been a lot of rain out east of here, and there's been probably 8 to 10 inches around here, and they reckon 11 inches further out. We're at the footbridge in Numurkah, and the creek's starting to flow, and in a couple of days time this is going to look a whole lot different. There's a lot of activity around the town. There's been police, SES and the army's in town, and they're starting to sandbag the houses around. It'll be interesting to see how high it gets. These houses copped it in '93, but they're trying to get in early and sandbag. Here's a bit of smart engineering for you. We've got this great big wide creek that can carry a lot of water sometimes, and it's got to go through that narrow little bridge they put over there. They build the approaches up, build the roads up. All it does is create a dam and flood all the houses here. There were houses here in '93. Now they're putting big banks up over there. They copped it the last couple of floods, '74, '93. Well, they're trying to stop it this year, but I wish them luck. That little bridge with the approaches built up to carry all this water, fat hope. Corner of Tunick Road and Melville Street. Last time most of these houses here copped it, except for that one over there, old Bob Staggards. We put a bank around that and kept the water out. The creek breaks out up further. The water in '93 ran down the road here, completely covered the bitumen out there, headed south down here and cut across the park. But the problem is they built a big bank in that park since '93. We had the bank out from the house. They've put it right against the house there, which is going to make it a bit difficult. And we had it out from the house with a channel around it and pumped all the seepage out. Looking north up Melville Street, '93, the water come flying down here. I see they got bags up here thinking they're going to do something about it later. Came down and went around and across the park here. But now we've got this big bank built up. Someone went and mowed it. Maybe they think there's something coming. Now this is quite a large bank, and I reckon it's nearly 3 feet high, 20 feet wide or more at the base. Oh, even further. Now the water's got no way of getting over that, back into the creek over here and head west. It's going to bank up, and this bank here could cause major trouble. The bank, there was a block wall here. They've put the bank right up to it and tapered it back into the park. And it runs right around up to the back of the caravan park. Well, this is going to be interesting this year. But I feel it stops the water getting back into the creek, especially this section down here. It's hard to pick, but there it is there. It's all become part of the lawn, and it runs right through to the engine down on the south end. Well, somehow the water's got to get around the south end of that engine. Well, it's going to have to go through the bowling club or somewhere, and I just don't think it will. It's high over there at the bowling club. It starts to dip down towards that yellow tractor, and that's at a low point. The low point comes straight across the park, through here, and across towards the house. Now the bank in concern is in between here and the road, and if I bob down a little, you get an idea that the road disappears. There's the road. I'll bob a little bit down, the road totally disappears, and that's the bank. It tends to blend into the grass, it's hard to pick. But I think some engineer after '93 got it very wrong.
Slides, good. Yeah. Simple. Oh, you turned up the video.
Well, patented idea. They're dumping all the sand down there and people come and fill their bags and take them to where it's needed. This is beside the old Shire yards, and the SES command centre is set up inside there. I don't know why, because they've got an SES building around here further. Cannoli. We've got the army down the back here as well. In the rose gardens, caravan park across there. It's about 7:15, so it's starting to get a bit dark. El Toro, all been sandbagged. Don't know what they're trying to do over here. They're pumping something from... This is nothing to what it'll be like tomorrow. Here we are outside Stagger's old place. I've done a lot of work inside, but with a bit of luck, won't get there. Melville Street, right down to the end here. Now they've done a good job here. Then it runs around and joins up with this other bank. Pump set up inside. Now that bank there continues straight on round the back, but it's that bank there. I hope I'm wrong. Right with you. Starting to get a bit late, but it's obvious where we are in the park, and that's the town drainage. This pipe comes into the creek here and they're just pumping that out. That's just from the rain that's coming down now. Somehow all that water coming down Melville Street's got to get through here and it won't do it. Next morning, what are we, the 4th of March. John's digging a big hole in the backyard.
Yeah, that's why the town's flooded.
Oh, have a look at this. By gee, Grandma's not going to be happy with that. No. But there might be a reason why, and there it is. I've never seen water like that. That house is under. Believe it or not, he's poured piers in under there. There's concrete things that he was putting his slab on that block over there. Well, no, that place is under. There's no one in there, it's just sold. Put it up fairly high and yeah, it depends how it goes.
Very, very wet.
Denise and John are gone. But you can see at the end of the street, that's all current, isn't it? And that's because of that bank in the park. There's SES.
Where's that coming from?
They've come down to pick up a few locals. This didn't have to happen. Oh, they've all come for a look. Centenary Court never looked like this before. Now where's this bank over here that's holding all the water back? I haven't posted any letters today. Oh, you little beauty. You little beauty. Pull the blooming thing down, let the water go. The problem bank over here that's holding the water back it's not 18 inches, but it's enough just to stop them getting around further.
Yeah, no, just trying to get him to strip a little bit more.
Oh yeah, because look at it ripping around it.
Just lucky he was driving past.
Now the suspect bank that won't let the water get back into the creek, and it's diverting it all back down into all these places here. A few of these houses dry back further. That's a big volume of water. Just look at that. Holding it back into the town. Well, a few more houses went under. Now in '93, it came down the road here and then cut across, straight out through the creek. But up this end, that's holding back 5 or 6 inches of water, and that's enough to back it up through all those places and send it back down towards the hospital, putting pressure on all those places back there. Oh, there's one that didn't make it in the water. They've got to have some way to relieve a flood and let it come through here. Now you're building it all up. There's the result. If you try and build it up, water tries to head west here. We're going to have a flood, but it didn't have to be this bad. That bank that runs right through to the engine, imagine how much water that's holding back. Imagine if that bank wasn't there. That's just a small cut. I wonder what village idiot engineer put this bank here. Surely he saw what happened in '93 because he was driving up and down the road all the time. If this whole bank along here was running like that, heading that way, would take a lot of pressure off all these places here. And now it's channeling and it's all running straight down towards the hospital because it's running downhill. Yeah, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 inches. Make a big difference to that water that's being pushed down there. Those poor houses down there in the hospital.
Going under anyway. It's still about the same.
Yeah, she's just holding. Meanwhile, back at the camp, the level seems to be just about holding. There's a bit of wire there, or it's hard to see. There it is. And that's our gauge. I put that in when I came here about 4:45 this morning. Noel came back and had a look and he said there's 5 or 6 inches of water through the house over there. Come down here, I'll give you a shovel. I'm watching a brick on Noel's mailbox. Yeah, and it's still rising. That brick that's down below, we could see all of it an hour ago, so it's come up probably an inch or so. It's just under last night, so it's definitely dropped a bit. And the brick over the road, you can see the water line, although there's a bit of splash caused to go up and down there. So we nearly can see the bottom of that brick over there, so she's gone a bit with it, zoom. Yeah. In the background you can hear the pumps going down at the hospital. They've put a bags around that and they reckon they're trying to pump it out. It's got a little bit of water in it. There's a little gauge. That little tiny one there on the left was just showing on water level this morning, so there's a reflection there you've got to take in. So it's probably dropped 1.25 inches or so. So it's time to go rubbernecking and see what else happened around here. Come corner of Madeline Street and Centenary Court. There's quite a volume of water heading west, looking down the direction that we're looking at, coming from up there. So it looks like it's coming out of Thornton Street and beyond, and then coming down here. Roaring down from the north there, swirls around and heads back down to the court. Where are they? There we are. Numurkah's got local village idiots. Always got to be a few in town. They're right on the edge of the creek there. Village idiots. But there's a heck of a stream coming down here. This is Melville Street looking north, beside the pool. And this cut that was put in here the other day is still roaring water through there. And it would allow a lot more through if that whole bank right along there. Alright, I've grizzled about it long enough, but I'm allowed to. I'm a grumpy old man. All this water heading south can't get over there. It's trying hard. It's now pushed down there. It can't really get west. There's only a small amount going that way because the bowling club and everything's high enough, and pushing straight down to the hospital that's getting flooded, which is meeting up with other water, and it's definitely made the situation worse down there because there is a strong current here in the middle of the street. That's a large volume. It's dropped 1.5 inches around in Centenary Court. But this bank, and it goes around the back over there too, that goes right along here. Yeah. Current, that's the current that's coming down Melville Street heading south. Graham Duckworth's house, he had it let. Kept that dry in '93. Wasn't as high, of course, but that bank down there wasn't there. That's the volume of water heading south in Melville Street. Right across over there. Tunnock Road. Oh yeah, the creek's over in there somewhere. Looking south down Melville Street. Old Bob Staggett's house over the back, that's the roof. Somehow they've kept the water out of it, just. Level outside, level inside the fence. And yet there's no bank at the back. Try and work that one out. That's how much water's trying to push west from here. They pulled a thumping big bridge out of it years ago and put a narrow one in, and of course the water can't get under it. But back in the park here, tenants' cars only. There's only a few left down in there. But the water is actually, I've got to get my footing here, or I'm going to go. I've got some bags. It's roaring back and going that way. It's coming from the south because of the amount of water that's coming down Tunnock Road. I hope that's not the gas supply for Numurkah underneath the road there that's causing all those bubbles. See, there's a bank from the bridge there. You can only see a little bit of the grass. It's going over the top of it, all the way around the edge of the creek. And village idiots in the past seem to think they can keep this volume of water in the creek. All it does is back it up. They won't allow it to go through. They've got to find another way. That just proves that it shouldn't be there.
That's going down to the park.
Yeah, it's still roaring through there. Centenary Court.
We just had walking here.
Oh, you drive it.
Steve's up there, isn't he? Yeah, he's up there. We can't get too much. We walk through the farm, get it. I'll walk it. Water's pretty deep down there. Yeah, just up the mark and keep going down my nerves. Now look, I'll go up and do this now. I'll walk up. I'll walk up.
Looking east.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Water as far as you can see. If I can hold the camera still.
I'll be okay. Yeah.
Thornton Street. Oh, that's why we're dry. This is at the back of. That's why it's still dry on the east side of Centenary. Pioneer Lodge. Arana. And the poor old wet hospital. We've been pumping out of there for a long time. East on Catamatide Road. Moss Street. Pretty obvious where that is. What a mess. And they had a bank out the front here, see that bank? That was all put up, runs right around the hospital. It's now gone under. That was put up after the '93 flood, and they reckon they had the levels right, but they didn't think anything like this had happened. Wow. Trent and Lisa's house down there, which is just sold. Looking south at the roundabout down Melville Street. I cannot see any dry ground down there, it's just water all the way. Out towards the highway, solid water. Now here's this water coming from the east again, flowing over through the tennis courts. That's going to be a real problem for next weekend. I got me doubts. Oh, the poor old place. It copped it in there too. So there's water solid up past the roundabout from here. Now they've got high banks here on the edge. Although there's water in there, no water can get through. Oh, the next one's a bit lower. It's going through there. But if the bank was gone from up in the park, at least some of it would be heading west and not everything would be coming down here. Yeah, there's a bit going through there, but it is restricted quite a bit because there's not much getting out the other side. And there is a bit heading down there this side of the engine, but if that whole bank I keep grizzling about was gone, would take a bit of the pressure off here. Enough. Nowhere near enough. Well, that was great. Robbie O'Dwyer was just going past and I jumped on up at the bridge and took that little tour, otherwise we would never have seen all of that. Meanwhile, I better go back and see how the bank is. But there's talk around, and you know what it's like. There's some panic blokes topped me and said there's another 3 inches coming, that's all coming from the Ringway. Who do you believe? I think it might be just rumours. Tomorrow morning I'll tell. Don't know what all the bubbles are coming up along here. They weren't coming up yesterday near Centenary Court. I hope it's not gas. Looking east on Madeline Street at the corner of Thornton Street, and it's a lot deeper behind that vehicle. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory where I am here. Now it gets deep down that way. That's heading down towards Moss Street, looking up Newby Street, north. The water here in Newby Street, quite a flow, and it's heading north, back towards the creek. You can see there's quite a strong current there, heading north along Newby Street, trying to get back into the creek. It's coming back from up here. There's some sort of funny development going on out east of here that causes that. Newby Street, Tunnock Road looking east, showgrounds. Boy oh boy. Moss Street and Madeline Street, bit of higher ground here, but down there it starts getting deep. This is near the corner of Moss and Madeline Street. And she's flying through here. Now they've built all this up for that village that they were going to do. So it's holding back a power of water. Every development holds it up. And just look what's coming out of it. It's flying. So at a wild guess by the look of that, it's holding back about 6 or 7 inches of water. And of course all of that then forces it down other areas. I don't know how far my waders are getting to the stage of look out. I might get a cold sensation soon. The young bloke fishing up there, I could see he had a rod. I wonder if they're biting up in the end of Moss Street. Now you can see the height of the steps. and they've got all the doorways in that sandbagged. And this is what the SES bloke told us at the first meeting. He really knew what he was talking about. All the bitumen's rising. If you stood on that, it'll go up and down like a trampoline. Isn't that typical of the council? They go and put signs up totally in the wrong place. So they put one there, deep water, but it should be down here and all around the rest of the town. Look at the current these blokes are trying to work against going up Tunnock Road. Or should I say Tunnock River. Look at the front of that canoe. That's how much current's coming down Tunnock Road, heading towards Melville Street. Now all through here in the old days, this has all been built up here in the park. Nature had it. It didn't hold it in the creek. It used to come out and go straight across through there and back into the creek. Well, now there's houses there. They've been there for years, but that's where it used to go. It's the bridge. What's the use of putting banks around directing it to the bridge? There's no way they're ever going to get that water under the bridge. All the banks do is cause trouble now. Looking east up Tunnock Road. What a torrent of water. Boy, that bank over there's holding water back. Oh, okay, you've heard it before. Oh, it's right here above. Still roaring through where we cut it yesterday. Yesterday's level on the right. This morning I put that one in. Now the little bend in the crook part, I put them just to water level when I get up early in the morning. Oh, it'd be flat out being 3/4 of an inch today, if that it's dropped. Hope for a bit more tomorrow. Here we are, day 4. The water's gone down a little bit, but I'm looking north up Melville Street. It's still running through the gap over there. Not as much now. But now you can see that bank over there real easy. Well, that's still holding back 6 or 7 inches of water. It's the grass on the top that you don't realise just how much. I thought the other day it was only 6 or 7 inches. Well, it's gone down 1.5 bricks around a Centenary Court, and it's still holding back 6 or 7 inches of water. Boy, it would have been a whole lot better if this wasn't here. That's the historical shed. I'm at the back of Ducky's house here. Just look at that. The amount of water that's being held up by all these houses here. This is at the back of Staggett's old house. The bank from the park is there, runs along here, but is completely under from here on. And there's a strange phenomenon goes here, and I'll wade around the front and show you. That's how much current is heading south down Melville Street. It's fair flying down there. And if that wasn't there, it would be able to flow west instead of going down to the hospital. In front of Staggett's old house, that's the current heading south. Three and a bit bricks. This side is the water level. 3 and a bit below the capping. 6 and a bit bricks on the other side. Here we go. About 3.5 bricks below the capping to the water line. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's different height in the fencing along here. 5 on the other side. And yet there is no bank at the back here. The creek just runs straight into the back. So this fence is holding all that water back. If there was no bank here, it's pretty obvious what had happened. Now this one's got no pump, but there's still quite a difference from one side to the other. A bit hard to see with the camera. That bank's useless. You can't hold it in the creek. There's more water coming down Tunnock Road, I think. Now that brick fence, that was up the other day, it's flattened it. And yet there's no bank behind this place. It has gone down, probably 1.5 bricks. They reckon 1 centimetre this morning. A couple of the experts just told me. ABC, I think. Minnie's fountain somewhere out there, Robbie and Minnie Gordon's fountain somewhere under the water. Oh, now there's something different. The skateboard park, they're not using skateboards, they're using canoes. Another bank in the grass all the way around. Same on the other side, trying to direct it down to that narrow bridge. No hope. Now it's dropped probably a brick and a half. Hello, there's some kids going to go fishing on the bridge. They've got their rods. But there's another bit of that brilliant engineer's work that he put a bank across the middle of the park over there in '93, after the '93 floods. Doing nothing. Restricting the water if anything. Now this water's coming out the creek and flying up here, up Melville Street North. Now as soon as it gets to there, it's got to turn and go around. They had a bank right along the edge of this side of the road, this side of the church, and down along there, instead of out in the park. It may do something. What a brilliant piece of engineering. Comes along here, heads across over towards the El Toro, and then heads back there and goes under. You can see it, but this is the El Toro side of the bank. The water is higher on that side than that side. Now the bank is a bit low here. There it is up there near the pump shed, and it's running north out onto the road. Oh, they were lucky. Very, very lucky. The pump in Brenyon Street going flat out. Oh, I don't know what it'll do, but anyway, just runs back out in there. I don't know where it's coming from. Oops. Oh, they might have been lucky. It's hard to tell because it's dropped a bit. I'm walking very carefully along here because I don't know where. I should have a stick. The fishing club. Now that's all condensation on the inside of the windows there. I think I know what's happened inside there. Now you would have seen earlier, before all the water got here, I would have done a little bit of video here. All the so-called experts that came to town, all set up in here. But there was another area around at the local SES where they would have been quite okay, but no, they set up here. Well, they got flooded out. Now there's quite a flow coming down here. You can see the ripples. It's only shallow. And then it turns and everything's trying to get back into the creek. So wouldn't it have been logical, right along the edge of Brenyon Street, right up around to the water tower, to have a bank along here, a permanent bank, to hold everything back into here, and once the bank's gone in the park and a few other things down that way, it may, in some floods, hold it. But oh, hang on, we've got our wetlands thing down in there, and I see there's banks down there. That's new since '93. I'll see if I can get down there. Starting to get a bit deep. I think I might try another way around. But there's obviously a bank down in there holding. I thought the road out here to the Stockbridge might have been a problem holding water back, but obviously not. Have a look at that. That's not holding back anything. But I can still see these banks up in here. I don't know if I can get to them though. Looks like everybody's been flooded out. Oh, at least the track in here is good for something. Where the rabbit's going to go now? If they're gone down the end, there's nowhere to go. It's either back past me or I'll go for a swim. Oh, they can swim. Well, not quite. Here he comes, he says, I'm coming through, let me through. I don't know how far this bank goes, but it is quite strong water heading over it back now. The road's lower. It's not causing a problem, but you can see the ripple on the water. It's roaring over here, all the way down. This thing's creating a bit of a restriction as well. I think he's going to be parked for a while. They pushed a big bank up around there. Love to see what was going on down at the Stock Bridge there. That's a hell of a restriction. I'm not sure what that is. It's something on the south side of the creek. Over near the bowling club, I suppose. Alright. And that's the creek over there. And here we start here at the council yards on the north side of the creek. And if you want a restriction that runs north and south, here it is. There's dirt all piled up all the way across. Right up through to the council yards. Right up through to Brenyon Street. What a nice little block they got in here. I don't think I can get round the other side of it really, but it won't allow the water to go west. See, the water's still here, hardly moving. But I'll bet you it's whistling down the back there, over between there at the end of the fence and the bowling club. No wonder there's so much water heading south. This is where they were sandbagging. A few days ago, this was the main area you could come and fill up your bags. Now this water's flying down past here. This is the entrance of the yards. The whole road. And the creek's just in behind there. I wonder if it's got anything to do with this big long line of stuff that's piled all the way down there running straight south. Rose gardens up there, the creek with the bank. Oh, and they even tried to sandbag it around there. They're nearly all under, around the back. But there's that big line of dirt and stuff that heads way back down through the trees in the council yard. And just look at the volume in the creek. Can't take it. It wants to head that way, but they've got it blocked. No wonder there's so much water backed up through here. There's the bridge. Just look at the current that's trying to get through there. And all around here, the back of the park. I'm standing in Brenyon Street. And it goes around and it hits here. So it's got to go somewhere. Some's gone down here. Nothing can get through that lot over there. They've got it all blocked. Of course you're going to have a bigger flood. Caravan park. Brenyon Street. Not far across there. What a hell of a choke. That's what's holding it back. You can't choke water like this, the volume that's coming. The water's got it all wrong. It's heading north. Should be heading west. Oops. Oh. Wonder why it can't get down there. There's still a torrent of water going down south. I thought as the creek dropped that there wouldn't be as much running through that cut over there. But there is, because it's, although this side drops, the other side drops, and there's still virtually the same volume going through it. But just look at the bubbles going down the street here, which gives you an idea of the volume. It's heading south, that can't get across there. And if you had it from that house over to the engine, and it goes round the other side, if it wasn't there, there would be a huge volume of water heading west. Alright, I've done all my belly aching.
Natural disaster relief funding for flood-stricken regions.
Choking on emotion, Shire Mayor Alex Monk spoke about the devastation the flood has caused her community of Catamatite and right across the Shire.
Our houses are safe. There is so much farming land underwater. It is an enormous inland sea that is moving across from the east of our Shire.
Deputy Premier Peter Ryan is hopeful of tomorrow finalising with the Gillard government the release of natural disaster payments.
That would see us release the clean-up and recovery grants and the loans of up to $200,000.
An evacuation order remains in place for households situated outside the levee bank amid concerns arising from a leak in the sandbag levee.
This morning it did start to weep at the bottom, however we're countering that with pumping as well as extra sandbags along there to ensure that the safety of the township itself is secure.
More than 40 people have already evacuated the Nathalia area and have used the registration service set up yesterday.
We've had a few people just come in and query whether it is right for them to stay or to go. Of course, if they're concerned, then we're suggesting that they do go.
We will save this town. We will save this town. This barrier, I believe, it will hold, and as will the one just on the other side of the bridge, it will hold.
The Victorian Farmers Federation is calling on its members to donate good quality fodder for flood-stricken farms. The state government will meet the transport costs, as well as those of the Farmers Federation, in coordinating the fodder drive. Meanwhile, Goulburn Murray Water is reminding landholders to seek permission before pumping floodwater back into the channel system. That includes those with a pumping permit. Sue-Ann McCumsty,
More than 170 homes could end up like this one. It is an enormous inland sea that is moving across from the east of our Shire.
The road out of town to the north.
And Guy, I understand the Emergency Services Minister got his wires crossed about the situation in Numurkah today.
Well, misinformation is a problem in any emergency event like this, and certainly there have been rumours in the last few days about a second wave of flooding to hit Numurkah. It is not true. Unfortunately, the Deputy Premier today addressed a very large media contingent here in Nathalia, and he announced there would be a second wave of flooding to hit Numurkah. I repeat, it is not true. And unfortunately it's caused additional heartache. It was very widely reported across the media about Numurkah facing a couple of weeks of inundation and further flooding. I repeat again, it is not true, but it's certainly not a good look for the Deputy Premier and the Emergency Services Minister, who's the leader of the National Party, and that is the party that's supposed to represent the people of regional Victoria.
Righto, Guy, thank you very much. Guy,
The pumps have been going in the hospital for about 4 days straight. Looking east on Catamatite Road, south down Melville Street, and that's all the way as far as you can see. I think it goes all the way to Wunyu. Looking north down Melville Street. Roadhouse out in the road, way out to Whoop Whoop. Don't think there'll be any tennis this weekend. It was a low area down here. Back entrance to the hospital. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Looks like the units might have kept dry. Well, they would have known 74 levels. Now, this is a natural depression down here at the south end of Melville Street. And boy, oh boy, is there some water travelling through here. All heading out towards the highway. Over through there. Well, it was too deep for me down there, but he'll get through all right. I told him to observe the speed limit. I think I can see 1, 2, 3 pumps working here. There's still 3 pumps going here. This raised area along here was put up after the 93 floods. It's actually a bank. It runs right up along there. A bit hard to see now, it's getting late. And the idea was to shut it off there in the middle when the floods came up. Well, this time just came straight up over the top. In the right direction. But let's not forget, it's still way above 93 level, but at least it's going the right way. But look at the bubbles coming out of the ground. You look around in a lot of areas. I don't know what's going on underneath, but there's been bubbling, and there's areas around town that have been bubbling for days. Here we are, day 5. Now the water's dropped on that side, and it still stays about the same on that side, and this bank here is still holding back 6 or 8 inches of water. Unbelievable. From day 1 it caused a problem. It's so wide at the base. What a great bit of engineering. The north end of the bank, it can't get around here now. But there it is all the way down. That'll give you an idea. There's the bank extended around. That'll give you an idea how much water it's holding back. That corner's let go over there. There's the bank extended along here around the back of the houses, and that's how much water it's holding back. At this end here, it's got to be holding 8 or 9 inches of water back, even at this stage. And that's the amount of current that's still heading down south in Melville Street. That could be dropped by 5 or 6 or 7 inches or more if all of that wasn't there. Thomas and his mate from Ontario, Canada dropped down, and they've copped a job.
It's sticky on the weave, you mean?
Well, you can go that way if you've got a boat. That's no way to do it. I know where the SES said it. Well, the expert from out of town said it, not the local boys. Just goes weep straight around and go straight in. At least the water's run out of here. Yes.
I thought nice and cool on there.
Well, that's one way to get around down Melville Street now. The cut through here has stopped flowing, only because there's still some of the bank here that is holding back 7 or 8 inches. If that was cut through there in that grass, because it's a whole lot lower on this side than it is on the other side. So it would still be running through if it wasn't there. There's the continuation of the bank around the back of this poor old house. And you can still see the amount of water trying to get out of here. The bank now across the back is nearly dry. It looks like they tried to sandbag that at some stage, right around the back of the park, but not much chance there. Now we're looking west from the back of Staggett's house, and there's that mound of dirt. Now it's hard to see, you can't see it from here, but it runs right along in the east side of the council yards, and they'd stack that stuff all the way along to the front. Now that runs north-south right down into there, which doesn't allow the water to go west. You can see it through the trees over there. So it's trying to fit all of that water between here and these houses. No hope. No hope. If that bank was gone, all of that stuff which is forming a bank, in the council yards, would be able to go straight west across towards the railway line. Here we are, you can see some of it through there. Varying heights, heaps of all different stuff. All it does is create a bank. And it looks like over the row of bags over there behind the scout hall, guide hall, why would you want a bag there? What, the SES boys, the experts from out of town, not the locals. They were in there, maybe they're trying to keep their feet dry until they got flooded out. The volume flowing south in Melville Street has slowed dramatically, as you can see by the posts. But it's still holding back, my estimation, 5 to 6 inches. That bank is. You can see, but heading north in Melville Street, see all the little fish. There is shoals of them heading down the gutter. I don't know where they just bred. They look like bundles of sandbags to me, going somewhere. Now here's the line of stuff I've been talking about. I could get around here now. It was a bit too deep here yesterday. Now they've been stacking stuff all the way down along here to the bottom of the yards. Oh, I don't know, what's that, 150, 200 metres down there? All the way along. Now this is running north-south. Here's the creek. Back at the guide hall. And there's the amount of flow that's there now, and this is after the flood's gone. The peak's gone. It comes down there, does a hard right-hand turn or left-hand turn and heads south because it can't flow across here. You've got to have some sort of a plan. Trying to hold it back into here, it's just too restricted. And there's still a heck of a flow here now. There's a bank. This bank's been put up over the years. They even sandbagged on top of it. Well, it was going to do nothing. All it does is hold it back further and won't let it go west. El Toro Motel through there. That bit of a bank that's been there for years, you can see it now. It was nearly under yesterday. Round here. Then continues on around to the yards, and then all of that rubbish in there takes over and tries to force it south. There's got to be some sort of a plan. And unlike Nathalia, Numurkah's got nothing. There's a hodgepodge of stupidly positioned banks, and there's no plan to be able to let the water flow through properly. This bank in Brenyon Street, useless going that way, should follow along over there. Well, these buildings are built here for a reason, because it was low land anywhere, and they're going to cop it and allow the water to get away from town, and then you wouldn't have as much problem with all of the buildings around here, other side of town, and who knows where. Caravan park. And this is the real choke in town. Bridge, they didn't use any thought there. Too narrow. But in the case they've tried to channel all the water into the bridge, can never do it, but there's no plan once it breaks out to get it away from here to reduce the height of a flood. This is a major event. We were going to have a big flood, but it didn't have to be this bad. Even if you knock the top off it by 5 or 6 inches or whatever, every bit helps. That's how much current was in the street. All of this got, I don't know, swept from somewhere. All the dirt and sand. Goulburn Murray water. Good at measuring heights, but got no idea how to do anything with it. Castill Street, after a foot or more of water's gone. This bank along here did a good job for these houses. But it would have been a whole lot easier if there was a big one, if council or someone had put one at the back, a big one. That's the band room. This is where I started my grizzle, at the footbridge, about 6 days ago. Sports ground and everything over the years has all been built up. Well, there's one local resident that won't be complaining. Yeah, loving it. The water's flowing out of the creek here. There's the new building in the sports ground. So it's flowing out and heading back and going who knows where. And this is after it's dropped. You can see the level over the back there. Yeah, she probably dropped about a foot, might. So there was a power of water heading south here and going somewhere. That bank over in Grey Street seems to have done a pretty good job. That is a place for a bank. You've got to have one along there. That'd keep a lot of water out of the town. But if it forces it this way, it's got to be allowed to go somewhere. Bit of rubbish around the back of the showgrounds, all those sheets of iron and stuff in there. Oh, I wouldn't like to lift up one of those at the moment. Could be a little bit of livestock around. I hope there's a track somewhere in front of me. I might get wet here. Now this water's really travelling and it's dropped a foot or so. Don't know what he's trying to pump out of the lake. Maybe to drop it. They appear to be pumping out of the lake over to here to relieve the pressure. Oh yeah, that's where it's coming back in over there. Not very smart engineering that went on out here. I hear there's a few problems have been around out that area. But anyway, here's a high spot here. It's higher over there where the sports ground is, no doubt been built up over the last 100 years or so. Who wants to play footy in a swamp? But you've got a real choke through this area. So I'll bet you there's a heap of water getting pushed south over there. It's going around the back of the hospital and a little bit through. Quite a tourist site, everyone going out along the bank. But you've got to be careful walking out along that bank. Trevor went for a walk there the other day and I think he counted 4 snakes in a short area. I don't know if I'm going to get much further east. I'd like to get up. It's looking there, I don't know if there's I think there's a track in there somewhere. But this is the highway back through the sports ground. But all out there in the golf club and all those areas, it's got to be forcing it south. Something's been going on. Every development that's gone on since '74 out here, all these new houses and stuff like that, when you put up a road or something like that, it becomes a bank. But there again, no foresight, no forward planning. Looking at the line of trees up through here, this is obviously an old bank from way back. I can feel gravel under my feet, so it must be a walking track. Yeah, that'll be the original bank of the creek. What hope you got to try and send it all through. What is it, about 25-30 metres across? Looking east up along the creek. That's the bank around the lake. With the pump over there. And I reckon that'd be the small bore club rooms right over in the middle. Now you see all of this current here, all of these bubbles, that's not water coming down the creek. That's water trying to get back into the creek. So it's coming from, well, I'm guessing southeast here. So she's all cut across country and trying to get back in again. Heaven knows what's going on out there. Yeah, I think this is as far as I'm going to get. She's getting a bit deep and a bit too fast. Or I'll be bobbing down the creek next. Boy, there's a lot of water still to come. Probably from here to Tungama. There'll be a lot of people on the other side of the lake happy about that bank over there. I hope that's an omen for this year. They're going to do well, are they? Golf club. It's dropped nearly a foot, and you can see what's still running out of here. Corner of Moss Street and Madeline. There would be, oh gee, I reckon there's got to be 9-10 inches at least. Could even be more from that water to this side. All of these developments, once they build them up, they're great, but all the new cemetery, well, it's sacred ground, but she's all high. It's only been built up since '74. That's yesterday's peg, but that'd be down, 5 inches on yesterday. No swearing. See, hardly anything can run down there because it's all high across to the creek. He built the bank, thought he was going to divert it down there, and had no hope. Although there's water in there, there's still high banks and stuff, and the water had to keep heading south till it got down here and met up with the stuff that was coming from behind the hospital, coming from out east. Yeah, they all had a level of 74 to build to. Reed Court.
Reeds there.
Yeah, we'll grow reeds probably. Yeah, you've got to keep to that speed limit, not allowed to go over 80. I think if you're doing 80 down here, you might get shot at the moment.
Bit hard to play netball today.
Now this place was just finished not that long ago. And I thought he was building it up pretty high, but it looks like he knew what he was doing. What's the use of sandbagging out the front? Not out there. The water's pouring over the road, getting back into the creek. So this stuff that's coming from the... Oh, hang on, there's Holmesy's bank over there.
Yeah, it's on this side of it.
Yeah, all right. Everything that's... Every time you've got an obstruction, it's going to go somewhere. That bank is diverting all the water back into the creek, heading north. Yeah, there's a high ridge out there. Well, that bank ain't helping at all.
That one's not.
No, that's not helping at all. So where's the fence gone from here?
It's right there.
Oh, it's under.
Over.
It's under. Oh, right. That's the top of the fence. Oh, boy. Oh, yeah. That bank ain't helping at all. That's backing it all back up into town. Now we know why there's so much backed up between that and the railway line. Plenty of dragonflies getting around, all the mud eyes are having a ball. There's his pump shed. Oh, and they should put that in a pipe. Now it's ripping back south, coming out of the creek. So that channel back up there was holding all of that back. Doing a good job there, but oh heck, holding some water up. Yeah, there it is, heading back south. Because it can't get through the piddly little bridges we got here. Council yards. Here we are again, small bridges, same problem. Everything's trying to get through it and it can't. Alright, it's running over the road up there. There's probably more going through this bridge here, I reckon, than a town bridge, but either way, and then you come down and strike the railway line, and hey presto. But by the swirling of the water and how hard it's going down there, that's how much fall there is.
Yeah, give way.
Power of water heading south, but unfortunately that bridge over there joins up, that channel I should say, joins up with that high ground right over the back in Holmesley. So, well, that's not his fault, he's got high ground, but the channel in the low area is causing the problem.
Pull up here, walk down here about 80 metres, just where that roughed up area is. This here, the water here was high as the train tracks and it blew out over through that.
Yeah, oh I can see some, oh I see bags of gap through there.
It was over the top.
Over the top of the line there. Yeah, I can see a rough spot over there.
And it blew through at the time.
Well, if we had decent bridges and culverts here, you'd have a chance, but gee whiz, look how it's all built up here. Between the highway and the railway line. This is part of Numurkah's problem. See, the highway must be still open. There's vehicles going down there, but there's a bit of water. See the ripples in the line. The train line's got a ripple in it there, that's where. And plenty of other places, I think. Someone's put bags there.
The water was as high, if not higher, than the train tracks. It built up and then flowed over the top.
Boy, there'll be some snakes along here. And how much water do you reckon it's holding back now? Oh, there's a culvert up there. It's roaring through still.
That's not a culvert, that's where it blew out.
Oh, all right, Probably holding back a foot or more at the moment. Rockcliff's Bridge, Broken Creek. At least this bridge is bigger than the ones up further, but got no hope of carrying that amount of water. And here we are, nice and high. But it shouldn't be nice and high because it used to run through here years and years ago, given a chance. Now it's all built up. Oh yeah, Numurkah Cricket Club popping in. Cleaning up the bags, getting all the rubbish out the front. Makes life a lot easier. It's the Numurkah SES boys. They're about the only blokes in town that knew what was happening. All of these out-of-towners knew nothing. Now this is where I walked to from the other side, round the back of the showgrounds there the other day. There's that seat I had to myself. And I only got up to there. Now I'm on the north side, but that water is still pouring back in up further. I'll go up and have a look.